Nothing is coming easy for this Atlanta Braves team in 2025, but they do keep finding ways to win. We'll talk about another walk-off victory for the Atlanta Braves and discuss last week's minor league performances and some big news for Ronald Acuña Jr. A lot to discuss on today's episode of Locked On Braves, so let's get into it.
You are Locked On Braves, your daily Atlanta Braves podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, welcome back to Locked On Braves, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, where we cover your favorite Atlanta sports teams each and every day. I'm your host, Jake Mastriani. You can follow me on social media at ShortstopBall. Check out the podcast there at LockedOn_Braves on X and Locked On Braves on Instagram. If you're new and watching this on YouTube, please do me a huge favor. Hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up button, and leave me a comment down below. And for all those listening on the audio version, which is the majority of our listeners, make sure that you leave me a 5-star review on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast. Thank you so much for making Locked On Braves your first listen of each and every day, and especially after a big Braves win like we had on Monday night, even though it was a lot closer than it needed to be. We'll talk about everything that happened on Monday night's game, the start from Grant Holmes, Raisel Iglesias, the error in the ninth inning, the comebacks, the offense, all of that we'll get into. Also on today's episode, we'll spotlight some minor league standouts from last week, and we have some big news on Ronald Acuña Jr. and his upcoming rehab assignment. So a lot to discuss on today's episode of Locked On Braves, which is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So the Braves do get a 4-3 walk-off win on Monday night to start off their 4-game series with the Washington Nationals. It should not have been this difficult, but nothing, and I mean nothing, is coming easy for this Atlanta Braves team in 2025, but at least they didn't let it get away. And they take an early lead in this one, and they get a 3-1 lead early against the Washington Nationals. Grant Holmes looks great. You got everything lined up your last 3 innings for Dylan Lee, Daysbel Hernandez, and Raisel Iglesias. Looks like it's going to be a fairly stress-free win for the Atlanta Braves. 2 outs in the bottom of the ninth. Comes down to the last out, the last strike, and you can't get it done, and you have to once again walk it off. Like I said, thankfully, they don't blow it. It's not complete disaster. They get the win and avoid that embarrassment, but it should not have come to that. There should have been a much bigger lead. You should have been able to close the door, and they just weren't able to. But thanks to Alex Verdugo and Eli White and Nick Allen in the ninth inning, Eli White smacks the ball first at bat of the ninth inning, rips one that goes off the second baseman's chest into right field. Ball hit 108 miles per hour. Nick Allen with a good bunt moves him over, and then Alex Verdugo with a great at bat falls behind early, is able to work it back, and then shoot a ball up the middle for the walk-off hit that easily scores Eli White from second base, and the Braves get another walk-off victory. Look, the walk-offs are fun. I'll take a 6-1, 5-2, whatever victory as well. They all count the same in the win column, but would love one of these stress-free games here at some point for the Braves win. Now, starting on the mound for the Atlanta Braves was Grant Holmes, 6 1/3 innings, 4 hits, 1 walk, 1 earned, 4 strikeouts, and just 79 pitches. Nationals were very aggressive, swinging against him. 11 hard hit balls, and this one, a lot of hard hit balls by both teams in this game. They both had an expected batting average over 300 in this one. Of those 11 hard hit balls, 5 of them had a good launch angle. I'm going to stop just telling you how many hard hit balls there were and tell you how many had also hard hit and had good launch angles, because many of you come in with the comments, which are correct. It's not just about hitting the ball hard. You have to hit it at the right launch angle, which I determined to be between about 15 and 30 degrees is what I'm looking for. That's generally going to be a line drive or fly ball for home, a deep fly ball for hopefully a home run if it's a Braves hitter. So that's what I categorize as a good launch angle. I know Baseball Savant has that sweet spot stat, which I think is pretty similar to the launch angles that I just gave you. But 11 hard hit balls off of Grant Holmes. 5 of them had good launch angles. Only 2 of them went for hits. So some good luck there. An average exit velocity against of 92.1 miles per hour. 11 whiffs, not a terrible number. Just 6 called strikes, which again speaks to the aggressiveness of the Nationals. He's gone at least 5 1/3 innings in 6 straight starts now, and he's done a good job of keeping his team in the game. He's being that 4th, 5th starter that you were hoping that he could be. Maybe there was some hope that he could be a mid-rotation type of guy. I don't think he's that, but I certainly think he solidified a spot in the back of the Braves rotation for maybe quite some time to come. He has done a great job of that, going deep into games, keeping the team in the ball game ever since that slow start to the season where he was only going 4 innings those first couple. After that, he has been fantastic and given the Braves exactly what they needed in the rotation. Now, as far as the bullpen, Dylan Lee was fantastic, came in, struck out 2 batters on 8 pitches to get through the 7th inning after relieving Grant Holmes. Daysbell runs into some trouble in the 8th inning. It's a big double play and a huge strikeout of their best hitter. We're going to talk more about that double play in the defense here later on. And the defense came into play with Iggy's inning as well. He blew it in the 9th inning, but look, I know it's been a tough year for Raisel Iglesias, and when you've been having a bad year and then you blow another save like this one, you're not going to get much sympathy. But the 2 hits he gave up were pitches out of the zone and were soft contact singles. I think maybe you need to play the infield in a little bit with Iglesias out there. For the most part, the pitches that were supposed to be down from Raisel were down, and that has been his issue early on and why he was giving up so many of those home runs. Now, you do want to throw the 4-seamer up in the zone, and he was able to do that effectively. So, like I said, all the pitches that were supposed to be down were down. The sinker was left up a couple of times, including the one to Dylan Cruz that tied the game up. And if Allen makes that play, he gets the save and doesn't give up anything. But unfortunately, Allen unable to help out Iglesias there to get him out of a jam. Look, Iggy's been bad this year, no doubt about it. But this one and the last outing that he had, I thought he threw the ball pretty well. This was not one where I thought Iggy was bad. It was just some really bad luck. And I know people are tired of hearing about bad luck, but that's really all you can say. And like I said, if Allen makes that play, he gets the save and he doesn't give up anything. Now, on the offensive side, this is the best performance they've had in a while. I know it's just 4 runs scored, but you take a step back, it's 10 hits in the game, 2 walks, just 4 strikeouts. I will take that every night. That's usually going to lead to more than 4 runs, and it's usually going to lead to a minimum of 4 runs, which is what this Braves pitching staff needs. You score 4 runs in a lot of these games, and you're going to have a lot more wins because of the way the pitching staff has been throwing the baseball. 19 hard hit balls, 7 of them went for hits, and 7 of them had good launch angles, but only 2 of those went for hits. So again, even on their good hard contact and good launch angle swings, they weren't getting the best results. So certainly some tough luck for them offensively. The ones they didn't get for hits of those good launch angles were either lineouts or flyouts, and several of those in this game. Riley with a stolen base. It's his 2nd of the year. I think it's his 2nd in like the last week. Riley is a faster runner than you would think. He should probably be stealing 10 bags a year. I'm not saying he needs to go out and steal 20 or 30 bases, but he is somebody that shouldn't just be a goose egg in the stolen base column. He should probably be stealing close to 10 bags a year. So good to see him starting to do that. 4 for 9 with runners in scoring position. We'll certainly take that number. Everyone but Ozzie and Nick Allen had a hit, although Nick Allen did contribute with the sac bunt in the 9th inning to put Eli in scoring position for the walk-off. And everybody had a hard hit ball in play except Nick Allen. So like I said, best performance I've seen from this offense probably since the Colorado series. Riley, Olsen, and Ozuna all contribute in this one. That's what we talked about on Monday's podcast. Those 3 have got to step up, and they all contributed in this offensive performance. Michael Harris continues to swing a good bat. He has 7 hits and 2 walks in his last 5 games. He's reached base in 7 straight. He has a hit in 6 of his last 7, and the only game in that stretch he didn't get a hit. He had a sac fly, RBI, and a walk. And he's been squaring up a lot of baseballs here lately. So maybe we're seeing Michael Harris start to turn things around. And look, I know it's just 4 runs. Maybe you think I'm overreacting a little bit, but it's also been that bad over the past stretch for me to say this is their best offensive performance in a while. But I can also tell you, you have swings like this, batted balls like this. You don't strike out a ton like they didn't do on Monday. Most of the time, that's going to lead to 6 runs or more. I don't have the time to do this. If you do, go for it and let me know. But I wouldn't imagine there's not too many games that a team has 19 hard hit balls, 10 hits, 2 walks, and only 4 strikeouts, and they only managed to score 4 runs. But that seems to be this Braves offense. Now, it wasn't all good. There was some bad in this one. Just the 2 extra base hits. Only home run they got was a solo shot. The first inning was beyond frustrating. You get a leadoff double from Alex Verdugo with your 2, 3, and 4 hitters coming up, and he stays at second base. That cannot happen. And particularly the Austin Riley at bat, you saw him try to pull a pitch inside. You saw him, he ultimately grounded out to the left side on a pitch away. You got to sacrifice yourself there a little bit and be thinking other way. You got to be looking for something that you can shoot the other way to, at the very least, move Verdugo over. Because if he does that, Matt Olson hits one to the wall, almost hits a 2-run home run there. But as you know, Matt Olson, everything has to die at the warning track. I don't know. He needs to eat his Wheaties, do some push-ups or something, but he is the just miss king of hitting baseballs. But if Riley does his job, that's an easy sac fly and it's a run. And you just can't let opportunities like that continue to get wasted. You get a leadoff double and your 2, 3, 4 hitters aren't able to bring him in. They're able to string hits together in the 3rd, and you get the solo home run from Ozuna in the 5th, but you don't really do anything outside of that against Jake Irvin. Like I said, there was some bad luck in there, some great contact and some bad luck, but as I talked about again yesterday, they're just unable to really. They'll have that big inning maybe once during a game, but they're unable to really do more than that throughout the game to continue to apply pressure and knock a pitcher out of the game. And I even picked up Jake Irvin on my fantasy team because usually that works out well for the Braves offense when I pick up their opposing pitcher. And like I said, they hit Jake Irvin hard. 15 hard hit balls against Jake Irvin, but still not a lot of runs put up. And then lastly, got to finish with the defense here. I'm going to nerd out on you a little bit in this. As you know, you listen every day. I love the defensive side of the game. This was a spectacular game defensively by the Atlanta Braves, except for one very unfortunate play by Nick Allen. And let's talk about this play because I saw David O'Brien of the Athletic say it's a routine play that needs to be made. I've seen others say that, it was an easy play. You go make that play. And I get it. You're not a professional athlete. He is. And it's a play that Nick Allen probably makes 7, 8 times out of 10. But it's not as easy as you may think just watching it live. It's a ball that's hit up the middle. It's not right at him. It's not a routine ground ball. He has to take at least 5 steps to his left. And because of that, he has to catch it deep in the hole. And I think the biggest, I don't want to call it a mistake. I just think if he could have rounded the baseball and scooped it and had that momentum going to first base, that's the play you want to try to make there. But he just didn't have the time to do that because you're dealing with somebody running down the line who's 95th percentile in sprint speed. And so because of that, he has to round the baseball, or not round the baseball. He has to catch it a little bit flat-footed. His momentum's taking him a little bit towards right field, which is causing him to have to sling the baseball over there instead of having that momentum going towards first base. Off the bat, I thought it was up the middle and into center field, but Dylan Cruz didn't hit it quite as solidly as I thought, which allowed Nick Allen to at least get in front of it. But he wasn't able to round it enough to get that momentum going towards first base to make that an easier play and an easier throw for him. And ultimately, he bobbled the ball on the transfer. He fumbled it a little bit out of the glove. And if he doesn't do that, then it probably is, an easy play for him. And maybe not an easy play because Dylan Cruz is getting down the line. He was probably only going to get him by a step or two, but he did enough to get to the baseball to put him in a position to make that play. And I'm just telling you, I've watched the play 20 times. It's not as easy as a lot of people think that play was. It's also not as hard as maybe I'm making it sound, and the way I made it sound on the postcast. And like I said, it's a play that he probably makes and that a lot of major leaguers make, most of the time. But because of the speed of Dylan Cruz going down that line, it had to be clean. Now, the biggest problem, an issue with this Nick Allen play, and I know I'm going way too long on this, but again, I love defense. I love shortstop defense. So when we got a play to talk about here, when you bobble the ball, you can't make that throw. Like I said, Dylan Cruz's speed. It's why you approach the baseball the way that you did, or the way you at least tried to. Like I think he was trying to round it and get his momentum going towards first base, but that ball got deep and got there a little bit quicker than he thought. But because of the speed, once you mishandle that ball out of the glove, you got to hold on to that and keep that runner at third base. And that's the biggest mistake for Nick Allen for me in that play. But outside of that, you had two fantastic double plays. One started by Matt Olson, and then the one to get Daysville out of the eighth inning was huge because that's a ball that's hit right at Ozzie Albies, not a strong arm, but he made a very quick turn and feed to Nick Allen, who then, again, not the strongest arm from shortstop, had a very quick turn and throw to first base to get CJ Abrams, a really fast runner. So that was a huge double play. And then Money Mike with the catch in center field over the shoulder. Not the greatest route to that baseball, as Lindsay had pointed out to me, but he makes the catch either way. Almost made a fantabulous catch in left center field, Andrew Jones-like, but just popped out of his glove. He holds on to that. That might be the best catch that he makes all year. I thought he had no shot at getting to that baseball and almost made that catch. The defense has been great this year for the Atlanta Braves. The pitching has been good to great. It really just is the offense. And again, if they are able to have more performances like they had on Monday night, they will score a ton of runs going forward. And you put that together with the way the defense and pitching has been, and then you can start to see where this team could take off. They also could take off if they get a couple of their star players back. We'll talk more about that later. But next, we'll get into our minor league spotlight where the Braves continue to shine on the pitching side of things. We'll get into that here next. The NBA playoffs are here, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. From three-pointers to steals to assists, FanDuel has so many ways to bet your favorite player props. Plus, after the game tips off, you can even combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win big. But maybe you're like me and you haven't watched a second of the NBA playoffs and you are full in on the Major League Baseball season. They have World Series odds over there, end of season awards odds, all of that. You can see it right there on FanDuel.com. Also, make sure you check out FanDuel.com/playsafe for tools and resources to help you stay in control of the way that you play. Don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. Thank you as always, making Locked On Braves your first listen of each and every day. Go check out the guys over at Locked On MLB, solely getting you caught up with everything happening around Major League Baseball and the MLB Game Night crew, catching up on the biggest highlights from the biggest games each and every day. Well, let's jump into our minor league spotlight for the week. A lot of good pitching standouts to get to, not so much on the offensive side of things, which is troublesome and worrisome for the Atlanta Braves, because as we've talked about with the offensive struggles, there is no next man up for this Atlanta Braves team. You have what you have unless you're going outside of the system. But let's start at Gwinnett, where they went 4-2 against Durham last week. That's the Rays AAA affiliate. Connor Capel, 7 for 18 with a home run, 2 walks, and a stolen base. Jared Kelnick, 6 for 23, a double, triple, and a home run, so a cycle on the week. 4 walks, but 10 strikeouts. Did have a stolen base in there. And then Eddie Leonard was 6 for 21 with a double, 3 home runs, 5 walks, and 4 strikeouts. On the pitching side of things, Hurston Waldrop, by far his best performance of the year. 5 1/3 innings, just 2 hits, 2 walks, 2 earned, a home run, and 10 strikeouts. 22 whiffs for Hurston Waldrop, 7 of 7 on the splitter. So 7 swings against the splitter. They all came up empty. 13 of 25 on the slider. The pitch he threw 43% of the time, which is highly, highly interesting that he really leaned into that slider. The four-seam velo was down in this one. The induced vertical break, which was not great to begin with, was down in this one. And you almost wonder if you back off the fastball a little bit and you go more slider and split, is that a recipe for success with Hurston Waldrop? It doesn't seem wise. Generally, unless you're playing a team that's going to chase a lot. And by the pitching performances at AAA this past week, maybe Durham doesn't have the best offensive team. I don't want to take anything away from what Hurston Waldrop did, but he only threw 33 pitches in the zone and 62 out of the zone. That screams to me that it was a perfect matchup for Hurston Waldrop facing a team that chases a lot when you only throw 33 pitches in the zone. Now, there did seem to be some consistency that gives me hope. The sliders were down and away the righties. The splitters were all below the zone, and the four seamers were all at the top of the zone. And that's where you want to throw all three of those pitches. And there seemed to be some consistency with where those pitches landed. And maybe he was just playing to the other team that they were chasing, and he was just continuing to throw pitches out of the zone to allow them to chase. But I do think in order for him to have success at the big league level, he's going to have to be in the zone a little bit, lot more than that. Nathan Wiles, 6 1/3 innings, 2 hits, 2 walks, no earned, 9 strikeouts. Davis Daniels, 6 innings, 7 hits, 1 walk, 4 earned, all solo home runs, and 8 strikeouts. Jose Suarez, 5 2/3, 4 hits, 1 walk, 2 earned, 7 strikeouts. And Ian Anderson made 2 starts this past week. He went 3 innings, 5 hits, 1 walk, 1 earned, 2 strikeouts in the first one. And then in the second one, 5 innings, no hits, 3 walks, no earned, 4 strikeouts. Feels very World Series Ian Anderson-like. So, again, I don't want to pour a bunch of cold water on Hurston Walder's performance, but Nathan Wiles struck out 9, Davis Daniels struck out 8, Jose Suarez struck out 7. It seems like maybe they were facing a lineup in Durham that strikes out a lot and maybe chases a lot. Craig Kimbrell, an inning and a third, 1 hit, 1 walk, no earned, and 1 strikeout. The four-seam fastball averaged 94 miles per hour in his last outing. Going down to Columbus, they were 4-1 with 1 rainout game against Birmingham, the White Sox AA affiliate here in my hometown. Ethan Workinger, 6 for 17 with 3 doubles, 2 home runs, 7 RBI, and 2 walks. He has a .963 OPS on the year with 8 home runs. David McCabe, 4 for 14 with 4 walks. Geraldo Quintero went 3 for 10 with 2 home runs and 4 walks. On the pitching side, again, you had Ian Mejia going 7 innings with 6 hits, no walks, 2 hit batters, though, no earned runs, and 7 strikeouts. Hayden Harris, 2 1/3, 3 hits, no walks, no earned, 5 strikeouts. Didier Fuentes finally kind of got his feet settled at the AA level and had his best outing so far there. 5 innings, 3 hits, 1 walk, 1 earned, and 4 strikeouts. Drew Hackenberg continued to have a bit of an up and down, tough year. 3 2/3 innings, 5 hits, 2 walks, 4 earned, and 3 strikeouts. Lucas Braun goes 7 innings, 6 hits, no walks. It does give up 3 earned and only 2 strikeouts, but continue to go deep in the ball game. Just feels like he's going to be a solid, Grant Holmes type of pitcher, back of the rotation type of arm that, again, I think could be ready as soon as the second half of the season. Blake Burkhalter, 3 2/3 innings, 4 hits, 4 walks, 1 earned, 2 strikeouts. Giancarlo Lara moved him to the bullpen. An inning and 2/3, 3 hits, 1 walk, 3 earned, 2 strikeouts. Didn't go well, but very curious to see how this works out with Giancarlo Lara, as it looks like maybe they're finally starting to transition him into a reliever. Roldy Munoz, already a reliever, threw a perfect inning for a save. He and Hayden Harris, I kind of think they get moved up to AAA at some point and could be reliever options down the road. At Rome, the Emperors go 4-2 against Greenville, the Red Sox High A affiliate. Ambioris Taveras, 7 for 17 with 2 walks, only 4 strikeouts, which is good to see for him, and 4 stolen bases, but no extra base hits. But still a great week for Taveras, who had cooled off and been struggling a lot here as of late. And then Will Verdung, 5 for 17, a double and 3 walks. So not a lot of hitter standouts for Rome, despite the 4-2 record, and most of that is because of good pitching, including J.R. Ritchie, who pitches a complete game, throws a Maddox, 9 innings, 1 hit, 1 walk, no earned, 9 strikeouts. I think it was just over being a Maddox, because I think he just went over 90 pitches, but still, great performance. And his season at Rome so far, 7 games, a 1.30 ERA, a 0.79 whip, 41 2/3 innings, 10 walks, a 38 strikeouts, and a 161 batting average against. And he does get that promotion. I've been talking about it for several weeks now, saying I think it's coming soon. And it has finally come. Hopefully he adjusts a little bit quicker than Didier Fuentes did, but I think J.R. Ritchie certainly well deserving of that promotion. Can't wait to see what he does with Columbus. Brett Sears, he made 2 starts this past week. May 6th, he went 5 1/3, 4 hits, no walks, 1 earned, 6 strikeouts. Then May 11th was just as good, if not better, going 5 2/3, 2 hits, 1 walk, no earned, and 6 strikeouts. The 7th round pick out of Nebraska in 2014 is continuing his breakout campaign, and maybe the next big pitcher prospect to watch for the Atlanta Braves. Garrett Bauman, 5 innings, 8 hits, 1 walk, 3 earned, 6 strikeouts. Adam Mayer, another good start for him. 7 innings, 3 hits, 3 walks, 2 earned, and 4 strikeouts. Ryan Barraza wouldn't be a minor league spotlight without mentioning him this year. An inning and a third, 1 hit, no walks, no earned, 1 strikeout, and a save. Austin Smith and Samuel Strickland were great out of the bullpen as well. At Augusta, the Green Jackets go 2-3 versus Hickory. The Rangers, single A affiliate, Owen Carey, 5 for 17 with a home run, 4 walks and 2 stolen bases. Isaiah Drake, 5 for 16 with a triple, a walk. Does have 8 strikeouts, but 2 stolen bases for him. And then on the pitching side, Jacob Gomez, 3 innings, no hits, 1 walk, no earned, and 7 strikeouts. Jacob Kroger, 3 innings, 2 hits, no walks, no earned, 6 strikeouts. Luke Sennard, 4 innings, 2 hits, 4 walks, 1 earned, 6 strikeouts. Samuel Mejia, 5 1/3 innings, 4 hits, no walks, 3 earned, 2 home runs, giving up 5 strikeouts. And then Jeremy Reyes, I think this might have been his first outing of the year. Haven't seen a lot of him this year, but a very intriguing pitching prospect to watch for the Atlanta Braves. Good arm there. He's made 2 starts so far this year. So that was his second start of the season. And this one was pretty good as he went 3 innings, 1 hit, 3 walks, 1 hit batter, no earned, and 3 strikeouts. And then finally, for the FCL Braves, where Ronald Acuña Jr. will be playing starting on Tuesday. Spoiler alert there. Mario Baez, 2 for 11, a double. Diego Benitez, 2 for 11 with 5 runs batted in. Will King, 2 hits, 3 walks. Jose Perdomo, 2 for 14 with a walk and 3 strikeouts. And Cam Caminiti, last year's first round pick, makes his 2025 debut, going 2 1/3 innings, 3 hits, 1 walk, 2 earned, a home run, and 3 strikeouts. All right, next we'll get to that big news on Ronald Acuña Jr. and Spencer Strider and set you up for Tuesday's game against the Nationals. We'll do that here next. So on Monday, we get the big news from Ronald Acuña Jr. that we've all been waiting for. I know I have. I cannot wait to get Ronald Acuña Jr. back. It feels like this has been going on for far too long, but he is going to begin a rehab assignment on Tuesday. They are going to start him at the Florida Complex League and let him play in the outfield. It's a more controlled environment, and then we'll see where he goes from there. My guess is at bare minimum, 2 weeks of rehab games. You're going to obviously want to see him in the outfield. He's going to have to get to a point where he's playing, first of all, playing back-to-back days in the outfield, then playing back-to-back days in the outfield for a full game. With Alex Verdugo, Snicker said it had to be 9 innings. It ended up only having to be 7 innings. We'll see what they do with Ronald, but I think a bare minimum of 2 weeks of rehab games for Ronald. And that's if everything goes well, but we're still looking at probably a late May return for Ronald, maybe early June, worst case scenario, but got to start somewhere, and he's starting on Tuesday, so I'm excited about that. If things go well, we'll obviously see him move up the minor league level here by the end of the week or early next week. So can't wait to get Ronald back, and could get Spencer Strider back soon. He's going to throw a sim game on Wednesday, about 70 to 75 pitches, and then the Braves will make a decision from there if he needs a rehab start or he's back in the Braves rotation early next week. I think this is a way to just have him throw a quote-unquote rehab start, but not have him throw a rehab start, and that he'll be back in the rotation early next week. But that's just my assumption. Obviously, everything has to go well on Wednesday, and if it does, I think he'll be back in the rotation next week. Now, as for the Atlanta Braves on Tuesday, they will be going up against old friend Michael Soroka with a chance to get back to 500 once again. Spencer Schwellenbach will be opposing him. As for Soroka, made a start on March 31st and then missed over a month of the season. Just made his first start back. He's gone 5 innings in both of those starts and given up 4 earned runs in both of those starts. Now, in his first start back from injury against the Guardians, he did strike out 8. He's walked just 3 in those 2 starts. He's allowed just 1 home run and only 10 hits. His expected ERA is 3.29. His actual ERA is over 7. So he has pitched much better than the results so far. And that's all going to come to fruition again in the Braves. Obviously, the Nationals, they're hoping to capitalize on a good end of the season last year for Michael Soroka, sign him to a deal to see if that was for real, stick him back in the rotation. Then they'll probably try to flip him at the deadline if he does have a good first half. And maybe the Braves trade for him at the deadline. Who knows? But I do, the underlying data for Michael Soroka is just 2 starts this season, but combining that with what he did last year, there's a chance that he gets on track. He's pretty much ditched the sinker. And if you remember, we talked about it a lot on the podcast when he was coming back. That sinker just wasn't the same. It was staying up in the zone, largely likely due to his new mechanics that he implemented to try to avoid injuring that Achilles again. And it just wasn't a good pitch for him when he was trying to work his way back with the Braves. He ditches that sinker last year with the White Sox, and It's pretty much four-seam slider changeup now, and the changeup is really only thrown to lefties. So it's mostly four-seam slider that he's throwing, and it's been very effective for him. And not that he does or should have any ill will towards the Atlanta Braves, who paid him a lot of money, major league money, while he was rehabbing all of those years and gave him every chance to get back. And it's just unfortunate that he's out of options. They had to let him go. But he's going to want to come back and throw a good game against this Braves team and this offense that has been struggling. Like I said, a good performance on Monday. Hopefully that carries over. But as for Spencer Schwellenbach, he was better last time out. Still not quite to that level that we've seen from him in the past, and the level that I and I think many others think he can get to. So hopefully he continues to get back towards that and continues to give you 6-7 innings of 1 run, 2 runs. Like that's what we're accustomed to seeing from Spencer Schwellenbach. And hopefully the offense can get to Michael Soroka, get him out of the game, and get into that bullpen. And that is the strategy against the Nationals this season. But it is another favorable matchup for Schwellenbach to hopefully continue to get back on track, and for the Braves to get back to 500 and hopefully beyond that. That's what's coming your way on Tuesday, and what's coming your way in the next couple of weeks with the rehab assignments for Ronald Acuña Jr. and Spencer Strider, hopefully returning soon. We'll be back on the postcast Tuesday night covering that one. Hopefully another Braves win, maybe one a little bit more, less stress-free. Would certainly be nice. So make sure you're locked on to Locked On Braves and Locked On Sports Atlanta. Subscribe on YouTube if you're new. Hit the thumbs up button. Leave me a comment down below. Make sure that you rate, review, and subscribe to the Locked On Braves podcast wherever you get your podcast. And we will talk to you next time.